Warriors, rise. Good morning, everybody. It's Coach JV. The plan is right in front of you. From my heart to yours, I love you. Let's go ahead and get it kicked off, Warriors. I'm going to break down today how they put the plan right in front of you. Now, the biggest thing that I am worried about, just like they say they're worried, is the middle class getting wiped out. Number one, inflation is skyrocketing, gas prices, food prices, but your income is not going up. So as you sit in your just over broke job, right? Working till Friday in a job that you're completely out of alignment with, they literally are slowly, methodically changing the whole game with technology. And it's been the plan for a very long time. It just seems slow and methodical. It seems like it's speeding up. Let me take that back. It's speeding up very fast with the C-word narrative. So we're going to break that down today. What we're going to do is we're going to take a deep dive and we're going to show you facts, figures, numbers, logic, and then I'm going to show you the videos that match up with it. I think that's important to hear from the horse's mouth, not just from me. So we'll be going back and forth in between a video of somebody saying something like Elon Musk, and then we'll go into the actual government saying the exact same thing. And then we'll look at a video with Joe Rogan interviewing some gentleman who was a presidential candidate last time, and we'll hear the Dallas Fed saying the exact same thing. Now, why am I bringing this up to you? Because this is time for you to prepare. The old paradigm of investing, the 401k, the way that you do your finances was indoctrinated so that you could end up broke. You go to work for 35 years to retire with $1 million, maybe $1 million, with 5% in retirement, $40,000 to $50,000 in retirement income for a whole life of work. That does not sound like abundance, light, and love to me. So let's dive right into it. So the first article we're going to take a look at right here is going to be the World Economic Forum. And you guys know I pay attention heavily to the World Economic Forum. So who will be the winners and losers in a post-pandemic economy? This was April 20th, 2020. So think about that. March, we were just in it, and already they're putting out articles. Think about that for just a moment. March 2020, we're deep in a pandemic. Just starts. April 20th, a month later, they're already like, who are going to be the winners and losers in a post-pandemic economy? 1 month later, I mean, the dust hadn't even settled. It was brand new. Countries are being shut down, and they're already doing articles on who will be the winners. Stuff, and they did a drill in 2019 on a pandemic. So businesses that use cloud computing will not buckle under the pressure of the C word. So they got all the companies set up that should have been set up, that are going to survive, that they're invested in. Okay. This is a month later after the C word drops. Let's rationalize that. Okay. It's right in front of you. Further automation and artificial intelligence will enhance the resilience of supply chain. Interesting. Further automation, artificial intelligence will enhance the resilience of supply chain. What are we having? Supply chain issues. Ironic? Maybe, maybe not. Successful businesses will have a combination of resilience and agility. Okay. The C word is putting the global economy into a tailspin. Many countries are heading for very sudden and unprecedented recession. The crisis will catalyze some of the huge changes. Few industries will avoid being either or reformed or restructured or removed. This is 20 days after the pandemic launches. All of a sudden, they're talking like this. 20 days later, 30 days later, it's like many countries are headed for sudden, unprecedented recession. 30 days later, the crisis will catalyze some of the changes. Few industries will avoid being either reformed, which would be the companies you work for, restructured, the companies you work for, or removed. Okay, scalability, agility, and automation will be the watchwords, for this new era of business. And those who have the capabilities now will be the winners. So they're basically 20 days later, 30 days later saying, here's how we're going to operate. Now, this is Elon Musk, who just took over Twitter in 2017. Let's check this out.
There'll be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. Okay. What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job. Machine, robot is taking over.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are not things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen. And if my assessment is correct and they probably will happen, then we need to say, what are we going to do about it? And I think some kind of a universal basic income is going to be necessary. Now, the output of goods and services will be extremely high. So with automation, there will come abundance. There will be almost everything will get very cheap. I think the biggest. I think we'll just end up doing a universal basic income. It's going to be necessary. The harder challenge, much harder challenge, is how do people then have meaning?
Okay, so this was back in 2017, and as we progress, we're sitting in 2022. Elon just bought Twitter. Okay, so as we progress further, that's 2017. A month after the pandemic, they're already saying who the winners and losers are going to be. It's all planned out, right? Elon is saying this in 2017. And here's Jerome Powell in 2021, 1 year after the World Economic Forum said that. Here's his exact words ahead of your Federal Reserve.
Going back to the same economy. This will be a different economy. And one of the things we hear from companies is that they've spent a lot of time since the pandemic arrived looking at ways to have more effective technology and perhaps fewer people. So you're going to see some of that in these public-facing jobs. So there will be millions of people who have a hard time finding their way back into the workforce and recovering the lives that they had just a year ago. And, I think it would be appropriate for us to continue to support those people. The recovery, though, here remains uneven and incomplete.
Okay, so he says we're coming back to an economy leveraged towards technology. There's other videos that I've showed you. They said he's worried about the middle class. C word, they're saying, hey, we're replacing jobs towards automation 30 days after the C word. Elon in 2017 warned us that this was coming, that robots and technology are going to take over your jobs. Jerome Powell, during this whole thing, the head of the feds, that's printing money like a freaking printing machine. They're basically taking you to universal basic income. They're basically taking you down the path of very, very wealthy and poor, no middle class. No middle class. And they're going to do that by bringing the economy to its knees, wiping out the middle class, retirement, and then we all are on an even playing field. And those who set themselves up will be the richest people in the world. And those who weren't ready for this new paradigm shift will be in the working poor and probably supported by the government. Now, listen to this first 4 minutes of I Love Joe Rogan. Listen to the first 4 minutes of Joe Rogan and Andrew Yang. This is them on a podcast. And then I'll show you the Dallas Fed mentioning the exact same thing.
When you think that these jobs are going to be automated and then universal basic income is going to supplement it's going to give them some money, $1,000 a month. But where do they go from there? I mean, how do people exist on $12,000 a year? Like, what do they do? Like, how do they adapt to this new world?
Right. So the first thing you have to do is you have to look at what lies ahead if we do nothing.
Right.
So the way it's going to play out is that self-driving trucks are slowly going to start hitting the highways. Amazon's testing them out right now. And the first stage is going to be that there's a human driver just sitting there as a fail-safe, and the truck's going to drive itself. Now, my friends in Silicon Valley are working on teleoperators, so the trucks have right now like a 98% accuracy level, which is not very high because you can't have 2% semi-trucks like running into things or like going up the roads. So the way they're trying to get the last percent or so is they're equipping trucks with teleoperating software, which means that a teleoperator in Nevada or Arizona will beam into the truck and just be able to see out the front like a video game. It's like drone operating, but instead it's a truck. And you beam in and then you just steer the truck and tell the computer is like, I got it from here, and then you beam out. That's what they're working on to try and catch that last bit of uncertainty. So the innovations they're having, and again, Joe, we're talking about $168 billion a year. Like everything becomes possible when you're looking at that much money. So in the absence of anyone doing anything, the robot trucks will start reducing shifts of various truckers, I would say 6 to 10 years from now. And so then there'll be a bunch of reactions. Now, trucking firms already have massive shortages. They can't find enough people. That's one reason why they're trying to automate this job as fast as they are, because they're literally like, they're short like a couple 100,000 truckers right now. And people don't want to go into this field for a variety of reasons. The main thing being it's like extraordinarily brutal on you physically. Very, very bad for your family life too, because you're away all the time.
Yeah.
Something like 88% of truckers have an early marker for chronic disease.
Okay, so he just starts to dive into what the impact is, right? But there's a ripple effect to that, right? So truckers start losing their job. Think about this. Restaurant workers are going to start losing their job. Malls are no longer going to exist, replaced with Amazon. Many restaurants, fast food workers will have robotic people serving the food. This is a ripple effect. The retail industry supplies jobs to the middle class. So this is what we're heading into, Warriors. This is a fact. This is not, okay, so I like to show you different aspects, right? So we have the World Economic Forum, who basically controls the world. You have Elon saying this in 2017, who now owns Twitter, is the richest man in the world. So then you got Jerome Powell confirming what these two have said, the World Economic Forum. He's the head of your Federal Reserve. You got the Joe Rogan podcast interviewing this gentleman who's a presidential candidate. And then this is the Dallas Fed, okay, confirming what he says on the Joe Rogan podcast. Listen up.
We have in trucking is we don't have enough drivers, as you realize, 65,000 drivers short. In the next 10 years, we think we need another 1 million drivers. This is why the autonomous truck is going to happen far sooner than people realize, because it has to happen. We don't have the drivers for the trucking. 71% of the trucking in the country today, or goods today, are moved by trucks. So it's this driver shortage is driving this disruption. So now when you have an autonomous truck, how will distribution patterns change? You no longer have a human factor problem. Trucks can drive 24/7. The autonomous truck today is more, it will be focused more on a nighttime activity, but it's also in the southern tier of the country. The technology is not good in the northern tier. We have a lot of rain and ice and snow. So you'll see the autonomous truck on the southern tier. And as a real estate developer, we're trying to determine where will the next big distribution hubs be. And we think the distribution hubs today, based on a human driver, will start to change when you have the autonomous truck. Where will they go and what will they do? What kind of real estate product do you need? Can the autonomous truck work in an existing warehouse? With the drone delivery programs coming, and we've started Drone Delivery at Alliance, our first drone delivery was a B in Santa Fe Bell helicopter to one of our communities. What kind of warehouse will you need for a drone? Where the drones land on the roof to pick up a package, land in the parking lot to pick up a package. What I'm talking to my team about is as you build modern day warehouses, make sure you think about flexibility, make sure you think about the parking lots, think about the roof loading. And so there is a huge, exciting time coming up in distribution and e-commerce around technology disruption.
Okay, so these are the conversations that are happening. And you hear about these jobs in Amazon where people are quitting left and right, high stress environments, Warriors. We are moving into a brand new paradigm. I mean, full brand new paradigm. Think about that. So you are going to be just a factory worker, right? If you don't get your shit together, if you're in a job that's going to be replaced by, if you're a banker, you're not safe. If you're a teller, you're not safe. Teledoctors, telenurses, this is all going to be online. Think about this for just a moment, okay? Pandemic preparation, 2019, around October. All of a sudden, March, we're in a full-blown pandemic. A month later, World Economic Forum is talking about the winners and losers in the automation due to the pandemic. All of a sudden, now we're on Zoom calls every single day. Your job is being replaced towards technology. My son had to go to urgent care recently or had something going on. I did a teledoctor thing. He didn't even look at my son. It was like just explained it. And all of a sudden it was like wild. I'm like, what is going on? But here's the positive part: light, love, and positivity. As we get brought to our knees as America, number one, and globally, as we rebuild, there's always periods of peace and prosperity. There's going to be a group of people that invest on the other side of the technology, the supply chain management, the blockchain, the infrastructure, the software that are going to be running these trucks. Think about things like VChain, that's supply chain management. There's going to be companies that are IPOing nonstop, coming up that are new technology companies. Okay. You've got things like Link2. Okay. You can go to my Instagram page, link in bio. There's so many things you can do right now, investing in speculative assets. The thing we need to do is really look at your investment strategy. Now, if you're not an investor or you don't have a 401k or retirement setup, this is a great time for you to really start to educate yourself. So I'm deep in cryptocurrency. I use insurance like the elites do. I'm stacking up my retirement. That's a hedge against the 401k collapsing, the stock market collapsing, guaranteeing my principal, and I can borrow against my own policies. We got a silver strategy, right? We have our business strategy. We're building innovative companies. Whereas we're hitting every single angle, making sure we are set up to build generational wealth for our family. So like Elon is doing right now, I'm not saying I support him left, right, up, down. What I'm saying is he's literally making huge decisions because he has the money. He literally has the resources to buy Twitter and change the game. I'm not saying I agree with them or not. I think they're all connected behind the scenes. I think everybody has an agenda, to include me, to free people, right? I have an agenda. Everybody's selling you agenda. Pay attention. You're paying for your attention. All right, Warriors, we'd love to have you part of our family. If you did come to our 3T Warrior conference, our Freedom Conference, people are loving it. A lot of people joined this weekend. 3twarrior.com, 7 calls a week, 130 cryptocurrency courses, access to our research team, the Good Morning Crypto team. It is the most revolutionary warrior academy in the world, where we support you into this quantum financial system. As I always say, from my heart to yours, I appreciate you. I love you, but we all need to get our shit together. Warriors, let's go.